Thank you. Okay, so I am going to share my screen. I did not do a deck for you all because it's just better to dive into the research tools. So, as Emma said, I'm with Free Law Project. I am an attorney and I've been working in legal tech for the past 15 years. My career sort of sits at the intersection of really cool open source, cutting edge technology and access to justice. It's pretty much about caring about the people who are slamming into our justice system and trying to find tech solutions to help bridge the justice gap. So when Alberta and Emma reached out to my executive director, Mike Listener, it was a natural fit for him to connect you all to me because you get it. You're clearly interested in sort of the same space that I work in. And so the training tonight is really to give you quick and dirty on how to use Free Law Project tools as an alternative to commercial legal research platforms. And I can skip all of the why and the sort of why they're problematic and expensive and all of that, but you already know that because you're here. So what I want to do today is help make you operationally fluent in our Free Law Project tools before you leave. Emma and Alberta shared a list of research tasks and things that you'd want for your summer internships, potentially to practice and use as research examples. So we're going to work through most of those live. The structure, I'll just give you a quick overview of what Free Law Project is and what tools we have available. And then we're going to go right into CourtListener, which is what's up on the screen here. Our website is our main website is free.law. That's pretty easy to remember. From there or directly, you can go to courtlistener.com, and that's where all of the research happens. The free.law is our overarching umbrella website that encompasses all of our projects, our blogs, our partnerships, all of the kind of larger level product stuff or organizational level stuff. The courtlistener.com website is the research platform that you're going to want to hang out in and check out. I'm going to cover recap, CourtListener, the recap browser extension, alerts, oral arguments, and a couple of citation tricks. And then I'll end with the EDU memberships, which is something that you all should sign up for before you leave. It's free with your .edu email, and it unlocks a membership tier with additional features like search alerts and docket alerts and API access that you would otherwise have to pay for on our system. Everything I'm showing you today is I'm logged into my CourtListener account, but I don't have any other sort of special permissions set up on here. So everything you see me do, you can go do and replicate with a free account or without an account. So just want to make that clear. You do not have to have an account. If you do create an EDU membership, it just adds additional search alerts and abilities that you wouldn't otherwise have. But all of this is free and open. So at any point, ask questions. Emma said she would monitor the chat. I think the ability for y'all to unmute is turned off. So put those questions in the chat. If it's something like, oh, I don't understand what that is, can you repeat it? Feel free to interrupt right at the moment it's happening. If it's something that can hold for a little bit longer, put it in and I'll cover it at the end. So overview of Free Law Project. Free Law Project is a nonprofit. We've been around since 2010. We started as a project out of UC Berkeley. Mike Listener, our executive director, was doing a School of Information sort of final project, and our board member, one of our board members, was his professor and gave him this idea to scrape federal courts opinions and pull those into one place. And out of that, CourtListener was born. We are the leading nonprofit using technology, data, and advocacy to make the legal ecosystem more equitable and competitive. Our biggest claim to fame is our data. With our CourtListener database, we have case law from every appellate and Supreme Court in all 50 states and in the federal court system. In our recap archive, we have basic metadata like case name, docket existence for every federal district and bankruptcy case in PACER. If you're unfamiliar, PACER is the federal court's e-filing system. Also in that recap archive, we have 50 million court documents that have been largely crowdfunded from about 35,000 people who have our recap extension installed on their browsers, which I will show you how to do. On top of all that, we've built a search interface that makes it powerful and free, and we're used millions of times each year as a free alternative to the commercial research platforms by lawyers who can't afford those platforms, journalists, by academics, by law students, by self-represented litigants, by major tech companies who are using our data to power their AI tools. So all of that is sitting in the free law ecosystem. We have a searchable oral argument and judges database and a bunch of other really cool tech on our website, which I talked about, free.law, and in our GitHub repositories. So if you are techie and you want to see how we do the things that I'm going to show you we do, we're very open about how we do it. All of our tools are open source. They're in those GitHub repositories. You can look at the tools, look at the code, use it, expand on it, whatever you'd like. We also do commercially license our data, but our clients are mostly startups, journalists, and others that are priced out of other commercial platforms. We do not have a commercial licensing agreement with the federal government. The short version is that we build free legal data infrastructure and tools, and we keep it open. The main things that we'll talk about today are CourtListener. That's the case law. It's opinions from federal courts, appellate courts, court of final review in all 50 states. Over 10 million opinions, 40 million citations, and we're adding to those every day. It's free to search, it's free to use. The opinions are structured, searchable, and linked by citation, so you can move through the law the same way that you would in a commercial platform. Recap is the largest free archive of federal court filings outside of PACER, created through our long-running public access initiative. That recap archive contains over 57 million cases, hundreds of millions of docket entries. Last we sort of checked, it was like 500 million docket entries, and tens of millions of legal documents. So if you are working over the summer or when you become a practicing attorney and you need to track cases, pull filings, or understand litigation history, Recap is built to make that work for you faster and more accessible. In the PACER system, there is a super clunky search, and it charges you every time you search, and searches cost 10 cents a page. You will generate a bill quite quickly for your PACER account if you're doing basic legal research in the PACER system. So our recap system is a free alternative to that. And then if we don't have one of the documents in our system because it hasn't been crowdsourced, you can go directly into the PACER system and purchase it, just that specific document, saving you lots of money. We have the recap extension, which I talked about. There's about 35,000 people who are using our extension and donating the content that they've purchased from the PACER system back into our system. You're looking at my screen. The little scale right here, I have the recap extension installed on my browser. So that's what this indicates here. I'll show you how to install it quickly with the instructions too near the end. We have oral arguments. So we have 3.2 million minutes of oral arguments across all 13 federal circuits. We have an AI generated transcript overlay on top of those oral arguments. So as soon as the court publishes those, we scrape it, pull it into our system, and run it through our AI tool to generate a transcript that then makes them searchable. I'll show you how you can use that for moot court. I was on moot court and I would have loved to have heard some oral arguments and heard how lawyers talk about the topics that we were researching. If you're really deep in the nerdy weeds, you can generate custom like podcasts to listen to if you're out running and you really want to listen to oral arguments. We have that available for you. We have a judges database. We helped the Wall Street Journal write or have the data behind their article into hidden interest in federal judges a few years ago, where they had found that 100 plus judges had conflicts of interest based on their financial disclosures on federal judges. So we have a judges database. And then all of that sits behind around APIs, bulk data, and commercial licensing of those. So if you want to access it in greater volume, you need it quicker, you want to do more advanced searches, you're techie, you can access our APIs and our bulk data. With that EDU membership that I talked about, you also get free API access in a way that we normally commercially charge for. So for research projects, for building out prototypes, for testing or creating a tool in a class, Anything non-commercial with your EDU membership, you have access to our APIs and volume as well. And then finally, my Justice Initiatives division, we're taking all of that data and we're building tools for people interacting with the court system. So we have a litigant portal, which is an AI-assisted legal guidance and case management tool for self-represented litigants. We're building that out now in partnership with courts. If you happen to work for courts, we're actually looking for court partners. So if you have a connection to a court system who might want to help self-represented litigants, come talk to me. We also work with the federal public defenders to streamline their discovery processes and their general workflows. My projects are separate from this. Today, I'm here to talk to you just about the research and give you that background. But let's go to CourtListener here, and I'll do a couple live demos. All right, so this on my screen right now is CourtListener.com. I am on the Case Law tab, Quick Navigation Orientation. We have the different tranches of data. So we have case law, the opinions. We have the recap archive, which is federal docket information. We have oral arguments, we have judges, and we have financial disclosures. You pick which tranches of our data that you want to search in, and then you go through and run the search from that. One thing to know up front, CourtListener indexes opinions from federal courts going back to roughly the 1600s. We partnered with the Harvard Case Law Access Project in pre-2018 era, where they scanned every book in the Harvard Law Library. We have all of that data, so we have all case law going back to the 1600s before America. And we have really strong state court coverage at the appellate level. District court states gets a little bit sketchier. PACER dockets are in the recap tab, not in the case law tab. So it's just a little bit of learning our system like you do on any of the platforms, and then figuring out exactly where you want to research. I didn't include this in sort of my notes to cover, but we do have a YouTube channel which has some videos that are short and quick, like 3-minute videos on how to do different searches that I'm going to show you. So if this is too much, if you forget it, just remember to go to our YouTube channel and check out those videos, or you can always follow up with me with questions at the end, and I'm happy to cover any of this again. All right, so first problem was like a hypothetical research project around constructive eviction claims involving a ceiling leak. So I'm going to go to I'm under the case law tab here. I'm going to do a search for constructive eviction and habitability. The leaky roof would indicate that. And then I'm going to search. And what I get are 272 opinions about that. The cool thing is that I see a little snippet of the opinion here, so I can see if it shows me the keywords that have popped up. So I can read a little snippet and see the case. I can see what the jurisdiction is. I can see if it was published, what the citation is, when it was filed, a little bit of information about each case. But I can also refine my query along the side. So let's say you're searching, you can clear just the specific tabs. You can clear all the tabs. Let's clear all of them and search just for New York. So I'm going to click through and say I want everyone from New York. And we have a depth of courts from New York here. So I'm going to apply. You remember it was 271, something like that when I last did it. When I have now refined it here, I'm at 71 opinions. When I find one that I want to look through or start researching, I can click into it, but I can also search over here and sort by relevance, by the age of the case, how often it was cited, specific case names, specific judges, status of the opinions, whether they are published or unpublished. We'll talk about that near the end too. When they were filed, specific citations, docket numbers, minimum and maximum cites. So there's a lot you can do to refine your search to get it to what you need. Very broadly, let's just click into this one. And I have 20 Broad Street Owner, LLC versus Sonder USA in the Appellate District Division of the Supreme Court of the State of New York. This one is a slip opinion that we've gotten from 2024, tells me the date. I can read the actual opinion here. You could do like a Control F on your browser to see exactly what words, if you were looking for them, that brought up from this case. It has the citations linked to other cases, so you can follow those along in your research. So if you wanted to look up Schwartz, you could. If you wanted to see Broadway copy serve, you could click on that one. You're able to follow those citation trails through. So this took me to that case. I can keep clicking through, and it's taking me to the sections that are related to that. But walking back to 20 Broad, from here, I can also see the table of authorities from this case. I can see the cited by. I'll give you a better example of that. This one isn't cited by any cases that we know of. If it was available, I could download the PDF. This one was a slip opinion. We must have scraped it from the New York Court's website. If they had published it or we gotten it through Pacer or it had come through different avenues, the PDF to download would be available. But we have 200 court scrapers that are going out to the courts themselves and pulling the opinions off. We're not waiting for the publishers to publish the content for us in books or on their website. So that's why this is a slip opinion. But you can see here that it's the entirety of the case. We can go back into the search broadly. I can remove any of those refinements that I've put on here. Like if I'm like, this isn't right, this isn't close enough, or this is too narrow, I need to take it back and look out beyond New York. I can take anything off of my search. If you want to do different kinds of queries, we always have the cheat codes sort of listed here. So this is query help. If I click on that, all of our advanced query techniques are here and our cheats. So intersections, unions, negation or exclusions, but not, phrases and exact queries, grouped, wildcard, disallowed, proximity, range, date queries, fielded queries. I mean, there's a ton here that you could really get deep in the weeds of your legal research. I've never been a practicing attorney. I only have ever done legal tech, and so my need to use legal research is pretty limited. If you are a legal research aficionado, these should fit your needs and scratch that same sort of itch that you all have on the commercial platforms. So the next question, okay, so then you had a question about Boolean search and ordering. So you can use the Boolean here. It's like the and, the or, the not. This advanced queries explains that. We can try a search here. If I go back to searching case law, I can show you the proximity operator. So let's do an example of, say, an arbitration agreement unconscionable. And I want those words within 3, because sometimes a court will say the arbitration agreement was unconscionable. It was not. It hasn't been. I don't know, whatever it is. So we want these 3 words within 3 words of each other, and I want to do a search. It pulls up 1,441 opinions, and you can see that the arbitration agreement was unconscionable and the is. You can search through here, and all the search terms are highlighted. I've obviously searched this one before, so Coleman is a good example of seeing the case in its entirety and the table of authorities in case I want to follow the citation trail up, or the cited by if I want to follow the citation trail down to see what other cases have talked about this since the 2022 PA Superior Court case. And all of them are linked. So I want to follow the citation trail. I can keep clicking through it. I can go see there are 41,000 similar cases. That's probably way too many. You're going to want to refine that. And the PDF is here. So you can see we, not like the other case, how that was a slip opinion and we didn't have the PDF. This one we have gotten through other means. So we have the PDF itself here, and you can see page by page what it looked like. Or we have our more cleaned up version within the format that we use for our other cases. Again, I don't see the comments, so if you all have questions, feel free to interrupt. But
Someone just said that they thought it was cool that it shows, like, because it's a regular link, not in some weird database, it shows that you've clicked on it before, so you can see that you've looked at a case before. I was wondering if along those lines you could explain the note situation.
Yeah.
You might be getting to that, but
yeah, I do have a section on the notes, but that's like we can start it here.
Okay.
So
no rush.
one of the cool features when you have an account and you're logged in is that you have the ability to add notes and specific alerts. So this Coleman case I use is as a demo, as an example, because it sort of looks like how I want it to look, and I can follow and show the proximity. But I haven't clicked on this in quite a while, and so my sort of history, the CourtListener tool knows that I have been here and researched, and it has saved that history. So say you're doing a search and you're gone for a while, you come back and you're like, oh, did I read that case? This is one of the indicators that helps you do that. Another one are the notes. So I am logged into my account. I have some admin stuff that y'all wouldn't have, but other than that, this looks exactly like it would look like when you do it. So up here is the add note. So say I read the Coleman case and I want to add a note. This is relevant to argument 3, whatever the note is. I can add here with 500-ish characters. I hit save. And then under my profile, I have my notes. There we go. So on opinions, I have one note. The one I just gave for this Coleman one, I can open up the case again if I wanted to. Takes me right back to Coleman. Or I can open up the note. I can see the note here. If I want to edit and delete it, like turns out later on this isn't actually relevant to argument 3, I can just delete it, or I can say, no, this is argument 2. I can keep notes to myself, essentially in my citations and in my system about dockets, about specific documents in the recap system, the opinions, and then oral arguments. So each tranche of data has separate notes attached to it, but you can see them all pretty easily by toggling through. And then you can search your notes. I tend to delete all of mine because I do some of these demos and I don't want them to just be lingering out here. But you could have a whole list of notes to yourself and you can delete them or edit them if you need to. Under this, I'll show you alerts as well here. So let's say this Coleman case is core to my argument and I'm prepping for oral arguments or I'm doing a research, I'm whatever for your class or for your job. And I want to get an alert every time somebody cites this Coleman case because who knows how that's going to change in the precedential value of my arguments. So what I can do is get a citation alert. What that's going to do, because I'm logged in and with your EDU membership, you get additional of these alerts. So free accounts get 5, I think. You get way more with the EDU account. So that's why you want the EDU membership. So here I can create an alert for this specific citation for Coleman, and I can either get them emailed to me daily in real time. Like I want to know the instant something happens on this case, weekly, monthly, or I can turn them off. I'm not going to create an alert, but it'll also tell me how many times this alert would have hit in the last 100 days. So I can always come back to my alerts and be like, oh, this is very low level, or wow, this is really popular. We have journalists who follow popular cases. We had a lot of alerts set up on like Blake Lively's case that was in federal court, or in something involving Trump litigation that gets a lot of alerts put on it. And people want those in real time, or they just want to say every morning read a roll up of what has happened, or every week I want to a digest of the cases that have been involved in this specific citation with an alert. Or if I go back to case law itself, I can do an alert, say, for that arbitration agreement unconscionable within 3 again, whatever. And then I can set an alert on this search as well. So I click here with the alert. Same thing. I create an alert not for a specific case. I'm creating an alert for a search term. So I don't have to keep searching over and over. I know that I've gone through and I've done the research, and now CourtListener is going to update me every time something new happens on this. You'll see here, this one has had 7 hits for this exact search terms in the last 100 days. So it's telling you how popular that is. And then again, you can set them for real time, daily, weekly, monthly, or off. Those are search alerts and case alerts. You can also create alerts on dockets for the federal court system and the PACER system. I'll show you that when we get there. Another one that you all raised was the hypo of thinking about federal circuit court decisions since 2020. that cited Miranda v. Arizona. So same thing, I'm going to do a search here, and I'm going to look for Miranda v. Arizona. I could, at the point at which I am searching, refine the jurisdiction, but let's just search here. There are 47,000 cases called Miranda v. Arizona, because it's searching for all different kinds of parts of that. I'm going to refine this and clear all. I only want the Supreme Court case. I want the 66 one because this one, if you see here, here's sort of the like, how do I figure out which one it is? Say I don't know the citation. I want the one that is like Miranda rights that come out of it. So this one, it was cited 46 times. This one's been cited 3 times. I know that it generally happened in the 60s, right? But I'm not 100% sure. This one, the 1966 case, was cited 57,000 times. That, to me, basic research indicates this is the one that is the big case, the big Miranda. So I'm going to click here on Miranda. And again, I can read the case. I can see the cited by of the 43,000 cases that have cited it, different summaries, similar cases. I can download the PDF. I can follow the citation trail. And if I want to search now, the hypo was Federal Circuit decisions since 2020 that have cited this case. So I'm in this case. I can read it if I want, but then I can go to cited by. It's 43,000 cases. That I'm never going to be able to read through all those. That's crazy. Let's filter it. So then I go to filter citing opinions. And from there, I can filter by jurisdiction or I can filter by time. So I want to filter by ones that have been filed after January 1st of 2020 because those were my search parameters. I can do filed before, whatever your search terms are. And I click search. And now I'm dropped down to 2,600 opinions that have cited Miranda v. Arizona, the 66 case, since 2020. So that fulfills that. You can search by jurisdiction because 2,600 is still really high. You can search by relevance. You can search by newest, most cited. You probably want to start with most cited. Like Ramos, that would be a really interesting one to start with. 1,200 different cases have cited this in the chain of Miranda. Same with People v. Hoyt, but you can dig deeper and deeper into their relevancy, however you best do your search terms. So that is the sort of hypo that you all gave, which was interesting because this type of search would cost money in most of the Westlaw and Lexis systems, regardless of your subscription. So this sort of most cited and then filtering those results lets you do this all here again for free. I'm logged in because I wanted to show you the alerts and stuff, but you could have done all of this searching without being logged in to our system. Let's see. So, unpublished versus published opinions. That was another one of your questions. So here I can look and sort by precedential status. So we have published opinions and we have unpublished opinions and we have unknowns because sometimes we get cases in through scraping and they're slip opinions and it's unclear whether they're published or unpublished. We get scans, we get data in a bunch of different ways. So if we don't know, we don't mark it as precedential or as published or unpublished. If we are not sure, we leave it as unknown, but you can search unknown. You can search unpublished. Just remember that unpublished generally can't be cited as precedent under the federal rules. Most circuit local rules don't allow it. But it is useful for understanding how courts are applying a rule or for finding that persuasive authority if a circuit allows it. So check your local rules if you're using this in real life in practice. But this is a way to find published versus unpublished. So unpublished doesn't mean unavailable. It just means non-precedential, not non-existent. So you can search in CourtListener by both of them. It doesn't disappear simply because the court has flagged it as unpublished. All right. That is the case law. Let's jump into the PACER tranche, so the recap stuff. So this is, I want to search ongoing active litigation in federal court. So this is dockets. If you're familiar with it, this is going to give you the motions, the briefs, the docket entries, exactly what's happening day by day or docket entry by docket entry into ongoing litigation or past litigation in the federal court system. So a search here is, let's say I want to do United States versus Live Nation. This is an ongoing antitrust litigation. If you're fans of Taylor Swift, this is around Live Nation and the marking up of tickets, I think, for the celebrities' concerts and that kind of stuff. So ongoing litigation, I use this because it's a pretty strong example of all the content that we have. So it's not great in terms of search parameters with getting 430,000 cases and 650,000 docket entries. I might want to tighten it up or make sure I have the correct citation before I dig into the case. But again, this one, you can see it's purple. I have clearly clicked into this before. And so this case I know is a good example. Here, the same refine your query searches or parameters that we had in the court listener, the case law, the opinion side, we have in the recap stuff. So same jurisdictions you can search by, docket numbers. A cool one in this docket is the document number. So for example, like document 1 is usually the motion that's filed that starts the case. Or if you happen to know document 17 is always this kind of document, you can search for that specific document number across whatever your search terms are. There's a specific document number that relates to whether or not an appellate brief has to be bound. And so one of the people I talked to that was interested in licensing our data and our APIs is because they are a binding company who's been around for 100 years, and they're trying to find customers who could use their services because it's very niche, and knowing how to bind books in a particular way is a skill that not a lot of other book binding companies have. And so this person was interested in soliciting their business and marketing to attorneys who had this specific kind of document filed in federal court. And so it's really an interesting way to think about using legal data in the dockets, but we have a lot of clients that do very interesting stuff with our APIs. Let's dig into this case then specifically. So I'll show you a little bit about research. It looks similar-ish to the opinions that you've seen, but it's more of a tick by tick, day by day docket entry. So we get the description that comes through from the PACER system automatically for every single federal case. The content itself depends on whether or not we have crowdsourced the document. So we will know that the case exists and we will know what happened in any given case, but we won't necessarily have the document. So right here in this case, in the Live Nation case, it is popular. So a lot of people have looked at this case. So a lot of these download PDFs for this main document or for any of the documents, if they have a blue hyperlink, it means we have this document. I can click on it. I can look at the document. I can also download it. If you really wanted to, you could go buy it from Pacer for $3, but you could just download it and save yourself the money or your law firm the money, and or you could just look at the main document itself. If we don't have it, it looks a little bit differently. This one is pretty robust, and I use it as an example a lot, so I probably purchased some of these documents. Let me see. So we have all of these documents as part of this case. I'm trying to find an example to show you what it looks like when we don't, but this case is not going to give it to me. So I'm going to go back in the search and find a case I haven't clicked on and hope for the best here to show you. See. Okay, so this is an example. We have the main document. We have the complaint, and I can download it. But we don't have the civil cover sheet, we don't have the attorney appearance, we don't have the summons, and we don't have the extension of time for this case. So what you can do is either click Buy on Pacer, and we will take you here to Pacer. I'll show you. Takes me into the Pacer system. I will be asked to log in with my Pacer account. You would use whatever one you have. If you have client codes, I don't have client codes, so I just log in. Bitwarden is trying to save it again. And you can see here that this particular document is going to be billed now to my transaction receipt, and it's going to cost me 20 cents. Pacer charges you 10 cents per page, like you were at a library in the 1990s and you had to copy it out of a book. It's insane. If you spend under, I think, $30 a month in charges every quarter, you don't actually get billed. So I won't likely get a bill for this quarter because I stay under that. But I did incur a cost right there to buy it on Pacer. But if I needed it for my search or my job, I at least could find it through the recap archive and get the direct link into it. I didn't have to search and pay for search on Pacer. Because I have this extension, this browser extension, this document is now going to be available to the entire corpus. So if I go back, you'll remember it was a civil cover sheet. Hopefully it works fast to show you. Let me see. Sometimes it takes a little while. So this document, if we came and did the search tomorrow, this document's going to pop up and show the same download PDF because my recap extension has contributed this back. I don't know, maybe it takes a little time. But that's the idea that if we have it, it's downloadable, it's blue, it's lookatable. If we don't have it, we at least tell you that it exists and give you the ability to buy it. These little prayer hands on the side here are a feature called Pray and Pay. So if you do not have a Pacer account or you do not have a budget even for the 20 cents a page, because you're students, I was there once, you can click this, and what you are doing is asking our group of people who monitor Pray and Pay, so people who use CourtListener who have that extra money left in their Pacer budget each quarter will come to the Pray and Pay list and just buy up the most popular documents. It's like upvoting on any major platform. So you can request it, people can upvote it, and then people come through regularly and sort of donate that back to the corpus. If you wanted to know if Pray and Pay was satisfied, you could create a docket alert on this. So I can create a alert here to subscribe with RSS, to get an alert link. I can get alerts. Now alerts for this docket are going to be enabled. If anything pops up, you will get an alert. I will get an alert. I'm going to disable that so I don't actually get an alert. I can add tags here. So if I wanted to tag this as related to a certain client or to a certain legal matter or to a research project I was doing, I could create a tagging system for this specific case, this docket. I can add notes the same way that I could add notes in the CourtListener side. If I want to, in 500 characters, explain why this is relevant at the point in which I am searching, rather than hoping I can find it in my yellow pad. I don't know if y'all still use that, but I'm like deep in the yellow pad weeds. I like live and die by yellow pad still as a remnant of my days in law school. Okay, so that's basic search in recap. Downloading or installing the browser extension is super easy, and please do it if this was interesting and helpful to you, because Pacer charges that 10 cents per page. It's a real barrier for students, for nonprofits, for journalists, anyone without a firm account on Pacer. Search and accessing federal court content is very expensive. And what Recap, the extension, does is works by intercepting what you are already having paid for, and donating a copy to the public archive. The Pacer terms of service say once you purchase that document, you can do whatever you want with it. So we're not violating their TOS. We have worked with the AOC. They know who we are. They know what we're doing. You have complete ability to donate whatever you've purchased into the public archive. We're just maintaining that public archive. Anyone can get it for free. When you have Pacer and the recap extension installed, when you are searching in Pacer, if the document is in our system already, the extension will pop up and tell you that this already exists. So you're not paying for things that already exist, even if you're searching inside Pacer as well. You can go to your browser's extensions. I have recap in here, obviously. If I wanted to manage my extensions, you can just search for your extensions. I use Chrome, so Chrome extensions, and then search for extensions, and then recap. Here I have the details of it. It talks obviously about what versions, what it's doing, what it's asking you to allow to do in the system. So we are very clear about what we're doing and how we're capturing it, but this is a useful tool to be able to crowdsource into that repository that you're using anyway. If you are doing this on your private PC, that's your business. install the recap extension. If you are on a work PC or you're using a Pacer account with your employer over the summer, just talk to your employer about it. Feel free to send them our documentation about our extension, or to talk to me or any of us about why this matters. Just a word to the wise. Make sure you ask before you try to install this on a work computer. If you're doing work over the summer at a pro bono clinic or at a legal aid clinic or clerking for somebody that doesn't have a Westlaw or a Pacer subscription, this is where you're going to come to get the documents that you need without having to pay per document. Let's see. Other ones to mention, oral arguments. I know we're running up on time, but this is a cool one for law students. So same that Miranda, right? So I want to search Miranda v. Arizona again and hear how people talk about Miranda in oral arguments. I'm going to search our oral arguments. 247 oral arguments mention, I should have put that in quotes. Sorry about that. Specifically, I want to know Miranda v. Arizona, not all of those words independently. So 35 oral arguments in our system mention the words Miranda v. Arizona. If I want to listen to what they're saying, I can click here. I'm not sure if y'all will be able to hear it, but.
And our next case this morning is United States against Felder.
Hopefully you can hear it. If not, it's playing in my.
Good morning, Your.
I don't think so. I don't think we have audio shared.
The audio. Okay. No. Okay. Sorry. So it was playing. You can see it as it moves through the transcript, but you can go and search it yourselves. But same, you can add notes about oral argument. You can listen to it. You can also search it. So if I am wanting to see specifically where in the transcript and listen to that specific spot where they talk about Miranda, I can just do a browser search, a Control F, and there are 23 times that somebody says the word Miranda. I can click on it and it's going to drop me to that exact spot. So you see here, I'm at a minute 13 into it. If I go to, say, the last time somebody says Miranda, I click on it and it dropped me, it pulled me forward to 13 minutes and 33 seconds into the oral argument. And you can listen to the whole thing. The cool part is that you can download the original from the court, or you can just download the MP3 and listen to it. So you could create a playlist of all the times that those 23 times that Miranda v. Arizona has come up in federal courts in oral arguments, and listen to them. If you are in moot court, this is an important way. Hearing how courts and lawyers talk about and ask questions in oral arguments will prepare you for when you're in front of those moot court judges. That's a cool tip. And then the last, I think, question that had come up were like citation tricks. So I've showed you how the citations, you can use the table of authorities to follow the citation trail back up, and you can use the cited by to follow the citation trail down to see how these sort of citation networks work around specific searches or specific cases that you are interested in. You can download the content that we have if you want to take it and work with it somewhere else. We have a lot of export options for you. You saw that in some of the blue buttons, like in recap, you can download. Here you can download. We want you to be able to take the content out of our system and use it in other places. Feel free to search on us, find it, and then take it somewhere else if you need to. The other thing that I just wanted to call out was the EDU membership. So let me just go here. EDU memberships are complimentary. If you have a CourtListener account, you can log in, tie your CourtListener account to this EDU membership. If you don't, you can create a CourtListener account and tie it to an EDU membership. But you get unlimited docket alerts, unlimited real-time opinion searches. You can add 15 requests to our Pray and Pay, those little prayer hands for asking for documents. And you can get additional recap searches. So 5 real-time and then 10 daily, weekly, monthly, or daily, weekly, or monthly. All of this is also going to add API access. We're adding that to our memberships soon as well. So if you are building tech for non-commercial purposes, on top of this data, you'll have the API access the same way that our commercial partners have access to. A quick close with time. That's pretty much all I wanted to show you. So we covered CourtListener, we covered recap, we covered alerts, oral arguments, citations, and EDU membership. The tools here aren't going to cover every single thing that a $400 Westlaw subscription covers, but for the majority of what law students and new lawyers actually need. So finding case law, tracking litigation, understanding citation networks. We are genuinely comparable and we are free. And we want you to try it. We want you to find if there are problems with it. We want to hear about it. Our devs are always interested in if anything looks wonky or we're missing a case or you're seeing something in one of the commercial platforms you're not seeing in our case. We are actively working to add additional citations as well. We have a pretty big project ongoing with that. And we are adding that same sort of docket information that you see from the recap system to the state courts as well. So at the end of this year, we will have 5 courts. I think we're rolling out Texas and New York potentially pretty soon. Florida's coming, Pennsylvania is coming, and California is coming in 2027. So that same sort of what is going on in the cases and the documents are related to those cases before they become case law, we're pulling those in from the states too. But we're a nonprofit. So at the minimum, please support us by using the tools, by telling other people about them. And if you or the law firm or organization you go to work for has a budget, become a member once you're a practicing attorney. So a lot of our membership and our commercial licensing funds the work I do in access to justice tech. So we appreciate sort of just talking about it and sharing that you're using these platforms. I see a question. Can they unmute,
Thank
Emma?
you. Sarika, I'm not okay, I think you can unmute. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much, Jessica. This was great. In the spirit of like how we can support Free Law Project, I remember you earlier mentioning that like Harvard Case Law Project partnered with y'all. I'm curious, many of us are law students. I'm at NYU. How can we think about connecting with our institutions and leveraging our position as students to like figure out how we can amplify your tool, work together, et cetera?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we built on top of the Harvard Case Law Access project. So that was a project that ended in 2018, and we ingested that data and continued it on. Things you can do as law students in your schools, talk to your law librarians about having these kind of tools introduced in the same way that the commercial platforms are introduced. So we obviously don't have a budget to have Westlaw points or like Lexis points. I was in law school in 2011 and I still have the blender that I got with my Westlaw points. And it's beautiful. It's a lovely blender. I use it, whenever I want to make a smoothie. But I never had a job that I worked at that could afford sort of the level of access I had in law school. And so it felt very bait and switch. I was very deep into knowing how to research in those platforms, and I didn't know what to do once I left. And so asking what to do on a low cost and then showing our tools. We have on our free.law website, we have a law librarian guide that talks about all of our different tools, has training videos associated with them. So you could promote the fact that this exists. We have pretty big name partners. We're in almost all of the large foundational models. So you will be seeing CourtListener links in the large foundational models. When you do research, they're going to come and you're going to see CourtListener links. If you're reading New York Times articles, Wall Street Journal articles, LA Times articles, you're seeing links to CourtListener. So we're not a scrappy startup anymore. We have legitimate partners who are relying on our data. And so it's fair to argue that our research platform should be shown in the same way that the commercial platforms are as well. So thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Jessica. Thank you so much for taking the time to introduce us to all these exciting tools. We'll definitely be getting to work using them and also spreading the knowledge to our law school communities and hopefully workplaces over the summer. And thanks also for letting us know about everything that Free Law Project is doing to make legal research more fair. Hopefully the recording worked, so feel free to send it my way if you want me to watch it through to make sure it saves some of your time. But thanks everyone for coming, and hopefully we can continue with this partnership.
Thanks. It was nice meeting you all. Thank you for coming. And if you have questions, I'm just Jessica at free.law. So I'm happy to talk. Thank you.